Education in Lebanon is regulated by the Ministry of Education and Higher Education. In Lebanon, English or French with Arabic are taught from early years in schools. English or French are the mandatory medium of instruction for mathematics and science for all schools. Education is compulsory from age 6 to age 14. According to a 2013 World Economic Forum report, Lebanon is ranked 109th in overall quality of education, and 40th in science and math. However, these rankings are based on the Executive Opinion Survey, in which business leaders of each country give their opinion on the educational system in their own country. This survey is carried out as part of the WEF's Global Competitiveness Report. According to Mohammed Fawar, a non-resident senior associate of the Carnegie Middle East Center in Beirut, this assessment is a significant departure from the results of student achievement tests in every international test Lebanon and Qatar have participated in, on the biggest ever global school rankings, conducted by the OECD's economic think tank, and compiled from an amalgamation of international assessments, including the OECD's PISA tests, the TIMSS tests run by US-based academics, and TERC tests in Latin America. Lebanon ranked 58th globally in maths and sciences. In the International Student Achievement Tests in Math and Sciences in 2007 and 2011 for Grade 8, Lebanese students scored well below the international average of 500. In math, Lebanon scored 449 in both 2007 and 2011. Lebanon's adult literacy rate is 89.6% in 2014, according to the UN Human Development Index, ranking it 65th globally. Amongst MENA countries it lags behind Israel, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, Libya and Oman. The percentage of the population as a whole with at least some secondary education is 54.2%. For the percentage of the female population with at least some secondary education, the figure drops to 38.8%. Education system. Education in Lebanon is divided into 5 cycles, split in 3 phases: preschool education, basic education, and secondary education, the latter ending on a baccalaureate or a professional certificate, which both give access to tertiary education. Education is compulsory age 6 to age 14, being the basic education cycle. Preschool education starts at age 3 or 4. Basic education is then composed of 2 levels: elementary level and intermediate level. Elementary level is grade 1 to 3 and grades 4 to 6. Intermediate level is grades 7 to 9. Secondary education is grades 10 to 12. Secondary education is usually completed at age 18. It is worth noting that an estimated 2/3 of Lebanese students attend private schools. In April 2015, the Minister of Education, Elias Bosab, acknowledged the myriad challenges and gaps that exist in the Lebanese school system, in particular in the public schools. While Lebanese law stipulates that the national curriculum should be updated every 4 years, it has not been updated since 2000. In addition, because of national disagreement over Lebanon's modern history, the history textbooks in particular only cover history until 1943. The national exams were not marked in 2014 and cheating is an issue. Preschool education. According to the World Bank database, gross enrollment rate of preschool education is 67.1% for male, 65.6% for female, and 66.4% for total in 2007. Preschool education aims to initiate children into the school environment. The goal of preschool education is 1. To create a favorable climate for the children to communicate with others. 2. To develop their physical capacities, limb control and coordination of their movements. And 3. To educate their senses. Preschool education also takes into account physiological, moral and intellectual development of children. According to the World Bank database, private enrollment share for preschool education is 80.3% in 2008. Basic education elementary level. According to the world's database, gross enrollment rate of elementary level of basic education is for 96.8% for male, 93.9% for female, and 95.4% for total in 2007. Private enrollment share in elementary level is 67.6% in 2007. Intermediate level primary completion rate of Lebanon is lower than that of Tunisia, Jordan, Iran, Algeria, West Bank, and Egypt. Primary completion rates have not improved during the period 1995-96 to 2003-04. In 2007, primary completion rate is 79.8% for male, 83.3% for female, and 81.5% for total. According to UIS database, technical and vocational enrollment as percent of total enrollment in intermediate level is 5.1% in 2008. Private enrollment share of general education in intermediate level is 60.2% and that of technical and vocational education is 56.8% in 2008. Secondary education. Secondary education is 3 years education, and composes of general education and technical education. School principals decide students' path based on students' aptitude as shown by the brevet examination results. When students complete 3 years education, they take official Lebanese baccalaureate exams in their respective tracks. Students who finish examinations successfully obtain the Lebanese Baccalaureate Certificate of Secondary Education or the Technical Baccalaureate. In 2014, the Minister of Education passed all students who took the exam, regardless of their score. According to the United Nations Human Development Index, the gross enrollment rate for secondary school is 74%. Palestinian refugees in Lebanon have limited access to public secondary education. Most of them are not able to afford the high cost of private secondary education. UNRWA operates 3 secondary schools in Beirut, Sadr and Tyre. School operated by UNRWA partially offset the absence of available educational opportunities at the secondary school level. According to the World Bank database, gross enrollment rate of secondary education is 69.8% for male, 80.2% for female, and 74.9% for total. According to UIS database, technical and vocational enrollment as percent of total enrollment in secondary level is 27.8% in 2008. Private enrollment share of general education in intermediate level is 49.8% and that of technical and vocational education is 56.9% in 2008. Lebanon participated in TIMSS in 2003 and 2007. Score of mathematics at 8th grade is 433 in 2003 and 449 in 2007. Score of science at 8th grade is 435 in 2003 and 404 in 2007. At the end of middle school, each student has to enter the official exams. Tertiary education. Tertiary education in Lebanon is composed of technical and vocational institutes, university colleges, university institutes and universities. The Lebanese University is the only public institution. The Ministry of Education and Higher Education administrates the private and public sectors, and technical and vocational institutes are under the Directorate General of Technical and Vocational Education. Directorate General of Higher Education has responsibility for university colleges, university institutes and universities. According to the World Bank database, gross enrollment rate of tertiary education was 48% in 2013, with university graduates making up 30% of people seeking a job. It is clear that the higher education system needs to play a key role in resolving the problem of youth unemployment in Lebanon. The key issue related to this sector is the mismatch between the highly skilled graduates that universities supply and the skills and professionals the labor market demands. These supply-demand failings in the labor market are increasingly preventing young people from finding a job in their country that fits their qualifications. In order to address these issues, universities can implement policies to 1. Reform the curricula to better prepare graduates for their professional life. 2. Improve career guidance structures and activities. 3. Invest in relevant research, statistics and data gathering. Lebanon has 41 nationally accredited universities, several of which are internationally recognized. The American University of Beirut and the Université Saint Joseph were the first Anglophone and the first Francophone universities to open in Lebanon, respectively. The majority of the 41 universities, both public and private, largely operate in French or English, the two most widely used foreign languages in Lebanon. At the English universities, students who have graduated from an American-style high school program enter at the freshman level to earn their baccalaureate equivalents from the Lebanese Ministry of Higher Education. This qualifies them to continue studying at the higher levels. Such students are required to have already taken the SAT-I and the SAT-II upon applying to college, in lieu of the official exams. On the other hand, students who have graduated from a school that follows the Lebanese educational system are directly admitted to the sophomore year. These students are still required to take the SAT-I, but not the SAT-II. The highest-ranked universities in Lebanon include the American University of Beirut, the Lebanese American University, the Université Saint Joseph, the Lebanese University, the University of Bolimand, the Université Saint-Esprit de Catholique, Beirut Arab University, and the Notre Dame University. LAISQ's top universities rank Sorbs second in the Arab region, and 268 globally. The Times Higher Education World University Rankings 2015-2016 place the American University of Beirut between 501 and 600 in its rankings, while the Center for World University Rankings places Orb at 682 in its global rankings. Orb is the only Lebanese university to make either of these lists. Not all private higher educational institutions in Lebanon consider SAT-I or SAT-II for undergraduate admissions. The majority require a local entrance test prepared by these individual higher educational institutions. In most times, the entrance test is a placement test. The main requirement for undergraduate admissions for Lebanese students is the secondary school leaving certificate called the Baccalaureate II or, more recently, the International Baccalaureate. However, students with a foreign nationality are admitted to private higher education institutions that pattern after the American system of higher education as freshman students in case they do not have an equivalence to the Baccalaureate II. In case they obtain an equivalence from the Ministry of Education and Higher Education, they are admitted as sophomore students. As for the Lebanese University, which is the only public higher educational institution in Lebanon, students are admitted to undergraduate programs based on their baccalaureate II. A number of faculties at the Lebanese University, such as the Faculty of Sciences, require further testing for selectivity based on entrance tests prepared and administered by this faculty. Orb established in 1866 by the American Board of Commissioners for Foreign Missions. Saint Joseph University, or Université Saint Joseph, founded by the Jesuits in 1875. Holy Spirit University of Catholic, or Université Saint-Esprit de Catholique, founded by the Lebanese Maronite Order in 1938. NDU, founded by the Maronite Order of the Holy Virgin Mary in 1978. Education Management. Ministry of Education and Higher Education regulates all education institutes in the public sector through a regional education system. The education system in Lebanon is centralized, and this regulation is not direct. The education system is managed through regional education bureaus. Public schools are monitored by the regional education bureaus in the governorates. The Regional Education Bureau serves as liaisons between the public school and the Directorates of Education at the ministry's headquarters. Private schools have their own organization, but private schools are still subject to the authority of the MEHE. The Center for Educational Research and Development is an autonomous staff organization under the trusteeship of the MEHE. CERD's tasks are 1. To draft curricula of academic and vocational education for the pre-university education stage. 2. To revise and modify the curricula according to the necessity. 3. To prepare all means and ways for applying these curricula. 4. To do educational research. 5. To secure training for pre-university teachers. 6. To prepare the curricula in all subject areas. 7. To provide teacher training. 8. To write textbooks. And 9. To conduct evaluations, etc. Education finance. According to the United Nations Human Development Index 2014, public education expenditure as percentage of GDP is 1.65 in 2014. Public schools are financed by the Ministry of Education and private schools are financed by students' fees. The processes involved curricular draft and modification, and teacher training are mainly financed by non-government funds such as private companies or international bodies which include the World Bank and the UNDP. Curriculum. The Lebanese curriculum is used at all public and private schools in Lebanon. Schools have to apply both the Lebanese and foreign schemes at the same time when they will implement a foreign curriculum in a school. Syrian refugees in Lebanese schools. The Syrian crisis has placed a large burden on Lebanese public schools. There are nearly 400,000 school-aged refugee children in Lebanon, which is roughly 25% more than the number of Lebanese students in Lebanese public schools. Only an estimated 30% of the Syrian refugee school-aged children are receiving an education. In addition to barriers to access and other challenges, a significant barrier to integration is language. Syrian schools are taught in Arabic, while Lebanese public schools incorporate both French and English. In 2014, 104,000 Syrian refugee students were taught in Lebanese schools. In 2015, the Ministry of Education aimed to double the number of Syrian children in public schools to 200,000 students.